we go. Okay, yeah. So we're going to be painting our background this lovely teal color. And monarch butterflies, well, they're beautiful creatures, right? So they're lovely to paint under any circumstances, but this month we're painting animals that migrate, and monarch butterflies, they do this really fascinating migration to Mexico every year. We'll be taking a look at some really cool pictures of that migration process. Emily, last week we painted the Christmas Island crab. And yes, and I did not record last week. I had run out of storage on my computer, but I deleted some things today.
That's okay.
Yeah, I can send you the picture that we worked from if you would like, because you have the whole kit, so you might as well, or you could, use that to paint whatever you want. But I'll send you the picture, and that'd be optional. We had fun though looking at pictures of their migration. It was quite impressive.
Yeah, I wish I could have, but last week I was still in Ireland.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. Could you imagine if you were like, sorry, can't dance now, I have to go paint? Did you make any? Go ahead.
Well, the thing is, if it was on Tuesday, I was actually competing on Tuesday. So, yeah.
Yeah. What a whirlwind this last week has been for you.
Yes.
Now, you were here for Halloween though, right? You left right after Halloween?
No, I left before Halloween. I left on the 29th.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so I was gone for about a week.
So you had an Irish Halloween?
Yeah, but we didn't really do anything except go get ice cream.
Yeah. Well, that's so cool though. You were in a foreign country on Halloween. I love it.
Yeah.
Was it cold there?
Yes, it was, I think about 30 degrees Celsius there. So that would probably be like 50 degrees here. And then it was just cold.
Yeah. You're like, bottom line, moral of the story, I was cold.
Yeah. But there were more days that were sunny than the last time I went.
Oh, it was more cloudy the last time?
Yeah, last time it was really cold. This time it was not too bad. Like I went out in like a pair of pants and just like a long sleeve shirt, but last time I went with a pair of pants, a long sleeve shirt and a thin layer jacket and then a thick layer jacket.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they're further north than the United States. Well, certainly where we are in the United States. I think on the lines of latitude, I think they're lining up with, I want to say like Maine area. I feel like I've looked this up before. I could be giving you totally false information right now, but I feel like they line up somewhere around Maine.
Yeah, probably.
All right. What a pretty color this is. I love this color, this turquoise. It's going to look dynamite with these oranges and yellows that we're going to be using for our monarch butterfly. But let's go now and take a look at some pictures. All right. So here we have a cluster of them. So
hey, I know those.
Yeah, when they get to Mexico, they just land on everything in sight, and they completely cover up some things. You can't even tell what they're on right now. There are so many of them.
They're kind of creepy.
Who knows? I don't know what's underneath them. That's what I'm saying. I don't know what they're on right now. Kind of like when you see bees swarm and completely cover up objects. That's kind of what it is like when these monarch butterflies land on things in such large amounts. Let me zoom in. They look like bats in the night sky right here. Look at that. So bizarre. I've never seen this many butterflies all at once. Of course, I've never traveled to Mexico where they migrate either, but I couldn't imagine. Now, I know you guys have seen butterflies before. Have either of you ever held a butterfly? They're so delicate. And so I couldn't imagine trying to be careful around all of these delicate little flying creatures. It must be, it's, you know what it must be like is our love bugs. You know how squishable love bugs are? And you're like, oh, get off of me. If you dust one off of you, looks like you smear it into your skin. I'll bet. I'll bet you that these butterflies are probably a nuisance in Mexico at this time of year, the same way that the love bugs are for us. They're more beautiful, of course, but I bet they're just as annoying. Here is a monarch. This is the posture that we're going to be painting. Well, their wings are going to be a bit more spread open, but we're going to look at it from an aerial perspective up above the butterfly. We're going to have a nice symmetrical painting today. It's going to be lovely. All right, here is a swarm of butterflies. Look how thick the air is with their wings. That's impressive.
You can own those big butterflies.
Yes,
Those are big butterflies.
they're giant monarchs.
What is
They're
this, Godzilla?
huge. I don't know if this
Godzilla
is, you know what?
butterflies.
I don't know if this is a real picture, but I saw it and I went, we got to look at that. That just looks, wow, that looks crazy. Let me see. Is there such a thing as large monarchs?
Of course there isn't.
Oh, you think you know?
Yes.
Let me see. I'm Googling it. Aussie, either get something or get out, one or the other, but don't hover there like that. It says it, well, that's just a regular large. Large, beautifully colored butterflies. I don't see anything ginormous in here. It must be fiction.
Yeah, he's like in a screen where he's telling students.
Oh, right. You're probably right. That's on the screen behind him. And he's like,
This
the
is
monarch
really
butterflies are not really gigantic, but they look that way.
I think Godzilla size.
You know what? That
butterfly.
makes total sense. Now, I had the wonderful good fortune the other day on Sunday. In fact, I did not want to mow my lawn because who does want to mow their lawn? But I'm like, it's perfect lawn mowing weather. Get out there and mow. So I waited until the very last minute. It was almost dark. I said, well, I'll mow part of the lawn. And while I was mowing, I looked down into the grass and lo and behold, there was a monarch butterfly like in the path of the lawnmower. And I was like, oh, you can't be there. And I bent down thinking I was going to, shoo it along, and it climbed onto my hand. And I was like, what in the world is happening right now? This butterfly, and like, is something wrong with your wings? And then it flew around and then back down to the grass. And I'm like, well, you can't go back down there. And I picked it up again. And I was like, what? And my neighbor happened by and he goes, that butterfly likes you. And I'm like, are you seeing this? Is this for real? It was so cool. That has never happened before to me, where a butterfly just was like, hey, what's going on?
Or actually touch a butterfly or to see what type of butterfly they are.
I don't know that I've ever, maybe I've held my daughter Harmony, she had cocoons, butterflies that went into cocoons, and then they, how they do, metamorphosized into butterflies, and we let those go. So I probably have touched a butterfly before, but never like where it came and chilled out in my hand. Like that was amazing. I also think it's really cool how the underside of their wings is white. Don't you guys think that's really neat? Like the front side is all these oranges and yellows and this bright rich color, and then the backs of their wings is white. It's the same pattern though. It's so crazy. It's the same pattern, but just white. And I'm sharing this just simply because it's a beautiful picture. Oh, hang on, my dogs. I'll be right back. No, you can't have that. Some bubble wrap had fallen from my art bin, and my little chihuahua had pulled it into her kennel and was chewing on the plastic. Like, that's not good for her. So I had to give her a blanket instead. Now, come on, these are pretty big. I mean, I know those people are in the background, but these butterflies are pretty big. Not as big, not as big as as these, but they're pretty big. Okay.
Big as Godzilla.
Oh my. All right, so let's go ahead and, we're going to get started. We need to switch up, and we're going to be using our small paintbrush. You guys know the drill.
You know the drill. You know the drill. You know the drill.
We know the drill. Oh dear, where have my pictures gone? There they are. So pretty. Okay. We're going to start with the body in the middle. And the bottom of the body, we're going to bring it down toward the bottom of our canvas. It's going to go in the middle, but it's not going to go to the top of our canvas because the monarch butterfly's body lines up with the bottom of its wings, but it does not go up as high as the top of its wings. So we're going to put in the middle from left to right in the middle. We're going to put a dot for the head just above center. So if this is center from top to bottom, I'm going to go just above center. And I'm going to make a black dot for my butterfly's head. And the butterfly's body is in 3 parts. So the head is 1 part, and then the next part gets a little bit wider than the head. So I'm coming out to the left and down, and then I'm going to come out to the right and down, so that it's about 2 brush strokes wide. So I'm smushing my bristles down and pulling this line to the left and then to the right. I'm essentially going to make like an oval shape.
Kind of looks like a keyhole.
Oh yeah, it does kind of.
I'm gonna put my imaginary key in that keyhole.
Now I'm going to make the body a little longer. It needs to be a little longer than that. It's going to get narrow again, and it's going to get kind of pointy at the bottom. So we're going to come down now and pull this line down toward the bottom of our canvas. But we don't want this line just to be, hanging there. We want to, we want it to look like it blends from the body into this line. So it's not like a dragonfly tail. So we want to pull the sides of this oval down into this line that we just made. On both sides, we're just going to pull this side down into the line. All right. We are going to give her some antenna, but first we're going to do the shape of her wings. Now, when we're looking at a monarch butterfly from an aerial perspective, we're looking, or a bird's eye view, we're looking down on top of it. So we're looking at its back, really, not its stomach, but its back. And when we're looking at the butterfly from this perspective, the bottom wings are actually on top. They're overlapping the top wings. So we're going to draw the bottom wings first. And they begin about halfway up the body. So this is where they're going to start. And they curve down, but we want to fill up a lot of this space. So it's going to be a gentle curve in coming down into this area and then back up, and they touch right here at the base of the body. So this is where we're aiming to come back right there. So these are long lines, and you might have to fill up your brush with paint more than once. I don't usually use this paintbrush, so it's kind of throwing me for a loop. It's real soft, and it's giving me these thick lines. I'm not sure I love it. And we'll do the same thing on the other side, but the goal is to make the lines about the same, right? Now we're not filling the insides black. So if you make a mistake, it's okay to make some adjustments, but keep that in mind that we're going to be painting light colors inside of here, and light colors it'll be harder to get them to cover up the black if you get too much black inside of this shape. So do your best with these lines to get them the way you want them to be. And then they don't turn out quite right, you have to use your best judgment if you're going to fix them or if you're going to just live with it. Looks pretty funny right now because I wish that I had made my ends a bit more square like this. I'm going to show you. I wish that mine were a bit more square and maybe not quite as curvy, but I am going to go ahead and repair it, and I'm going to pay the price when I'm trying to fill in those lighter colors, but that's okay. As artists, we have to make these choices when we're working. It's a pretty acceptable choice to be faced with, right? Consequences aren't so bad. All right, so we're going to draw the top wings now. They're not going to look the way you probably have been drawing butterflies all the time, where the top wings like are the biggest, right? Because part of the top wing is getting hidden by these bottom wings. Part of the top wing is going to be underneath. So we are going to be starting right up here, just under the butterflies, what would be shoulders. Like if this was a person, the shoulders would be right about here. So we're going to start just under there. And we're going to be coming up and curving around, filling up this space. And when we get up to the corners here, we're going to have a tight curve. And we're going to do a little wave in our line. And we're going to come back down. And we want to touch this bottom wing right about here. Way out here at the end is where we're going to aim. Way out here at the end of the wing. So I am actually going to start here, and I'm going to do my wavy line up toward the corners of my canvas. So I'm going to do a curve out and up. And then I'm going to do a little wave in and then back out toward the corner of my canvas. So this is a wavy line. And up here, I'm going to come around this corner. It's a tight turn. And I'm just going to bring a curved line all the way down here to the shoulders. Woo, that was fun. All right, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to do the same thing over here. So I'm going to start here at the bottom. I'm going to do a curve up. A wavy line to the top corner. Bring it around nice and tight. And then a big curved line all the way down to the shoulders. All right, right now what we're going to do next is we're going to add our antenna. And you can do these different ways. They don't have to be, we don't all have to do the same kind of antenna. So they could just be curved lines that come off. They could come straight up, or you could even do a little loop-de-loop, however you want to do the antenna. I'm going to put a little dot at the end of mine. And now I'm rinsing my brush out because we're going to be switching to some other colors. We're going to come inside and we're going to make our colors inside next, inside of each wing. Before we do though, I've got a little spot right here I need to touch up. My wing got a little too close to my butterfly's head. Yeah. All right, I'll have to come back to that. I'm just making a mess. All right, so what we're going to do next is something a little different. We're going to be making a blend inside of our wings. So I'm switching to my big brush for this. And we're going to start with dark orange. And we're going to start down here in the bottom wing. So I'm not going to go all the way up against the body, but I'm brushing very close to the body. I'm being careful not to touch the body because I don't want to pick up any black paint. And I'm just going to bring this dark orange toward the center, and I'm letting it sort of fade out toward the center of this wing. And I'm going to do this on both of these wings here on the bottom. Getting as close to my black lines as possible without touching them. All right, now I'm going to rinse that dark orange out of my brush, and we're going to switch to the light orange next. And we're going to do a blend. So we're going to grab up some light orange after we've rinsed and dried our bristles. And we're going to come back into our dark orange. So to do this, we're going to start just outside of the orange. We're not going all the way to the edge because we want to leave some room for that bright yellow. So we're coming just up above it. And we're going to paint in this space up above it first, leaving some room on the outer edge for that yellow. We're going to do the same thing over here. We're going to come up above the orange. Well, it's down below the orange, right? With our medium orange. Leaving some room at the tip for some yellow. Yeah, yellow. That's right. I said it right. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to pull this light orange down across the dark orange. Just gently with your brush. Let's sweep some of this light orange across the dark orange. We'll do that on both sides. Just gently pull it across. And then we'll rinse our brush out again. And of course, dry your bristles. Squeeze them with your paper towel or your rag. And we're going to repeat the same steps, but this time we're going to go with that bright yellow. And we're going to come as close as we can get to the black lines without touching them in case they're still wet. And we're going to fill in this outer space with our yellow. I'll come over here and do the same thing. Now I'm pulling it down into my orange. Now, if I pick up orange, I have to rinse my brush out because I did. I picked up some orange when I was blending it. I wasn't being careful. I have to come it back in there with a little bit more yellow. And you can flip your brush too. If you get too much orange on your brush, you can flip those bristles around. So you could try a couple tugs pulling that color down before you have to rinse your brush out. But if you try to do it and you've got orange on your bristles, you're going to end up turning the whole thing orange. So you want to be watching what those colors are doing. And you might have to add some more yellow like I'm having to do on this side. I'm having to come back in with a bit more yellow. Now I'm drying my brush out really good and I'm making sure that I've got all the water out of my bristles, because what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just pull all the way across, and I'm flipping my brush and pulling across. I'm going to get that paint off of my paintbrush again, and I'm going to pull it all the way down and flip and pull it all the way down. Just trying to smooth out those colors as best as I can. All right. Now we're going to have some fun. We're going to switch back to our small brush. Now that we've got some color in our wings. And we're going to go back to our black paint. We want kind of a thick line along this curved part in here. So with our black, we're going to come back in here and make sure that this line is thick enough. So we're going to be painting maybe over a little bit of that yellow, thickening up this line here at the end of the wing, because we're going to put some dots in this section. And then if there's a gap between your black line and your paint, you can paint that in with your black paint and go ahead and just get rid of that gap right there. And you can come up around the top and do the same thing. Emily, your dog's tap dancing. Did you teach it Irish tap?
Yep. Stop. Okay.
The doggy can dance.
Don't you
Mhm.
hear it's tap dancing. It's watched Emily so much it's learning how to dance too.
Pretty sure it's the dog that I almost kicked once while dancing.
While dancing.
Now I'm going to do this to both of my wings. I'm going to go back in there and I'm going to fill in those gaps between, between the colorful part and the black line. I'm gonna do it both on both sides. Well, that's what I call it when my dogs are dancing all around the floor and you hear their little nails hitting the floor. I'm like, are you tap dancing over there?
I didn't know doggies could tap dance.
Well, mine usually tap dance when they want to go outside.
Do you?
Yeah. Or when they're really happy, like if they think Harmony's going to give them a treat, they start tap dancing.
You know what Duncan does whenever he wants a treat or he wants attention?
What does he
He
do?
comes in. He comes and stands next. Well, it sits next to me and bites my wrist.
Aha! That's funny.
Mhm.
All right, now we're going to divide this colorful wing into some shapes. Yeah, that's what we're going to do next. So we still need our black. We're going to use bumpy lines, and you want to press gently because you don't want to turn this whole wing black, right? So you want fine lines for this, but we're going to just start on the edge. I'm going to start here along the bottom, and I'm just going to bring a curved line in and drag it all the way to the body. And I'm going to come back up to the top, and this time I'm going to come off of this line and I'm going to do a curved line around like this and create this shape like an oval or a teardrop shape right here. And bring it all the way back down to the body. And then I'll have one more of these curved lines that I started with, but it's going to start over here this time. It's going to come off the edge and curve over to the center. And that gives me 3 shapes inside of this wing. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint a line from the top of these shapes to the bottom of the wing. And that's going to give me some different kinds of shapes here at the tip of the wing. And we're going to do the same thing over here. So you want to start your lines at about the same spot on the wing. So over here, we're going to start on the side and we're going to come in with a curved line. And we're going to pull this line all the way down to the body. And then we're going to come off of this line with a bumpy line that's going to come up and over. And it comes all the way down to the body as well. And then coming off of the other side, we're going to pull over a curved line to the center. And then we just need a couple of these straight lines coming from the bumps all the way down to the bottom of the wing. How'd you guys do? Okay. Do you still have plenty of color in your, or is it mostly black? How'd we do? Hey, Nathan, way to go. Excellent. Let me see, Emily. All right, outstanding job, you guys. Woo! That was great. All right, so we're gonna come up to the top wings and we're gonna repeat this. So remember, we started with dark orange and closest to the body, but we pulled that dark orange way up to the center of the wing, and then we moved on with the colors. So we're going to do that again. I'm rinsing out both of my brushes though, just to have them both ready. All right. So here we go. Now our black is probably more dry up here along the top wings, but just be careful along this bottom wing where you just were. There might be some wet black there. And we want to bring this orange out about halfway and then just kind of let it fade out into a little bit of a dry brush. And we'll do that on both of our wings to get started. And then you have to rinse your brush before you move to that medium orange. I love this medium orange. It's such a pretty color. And we come from outside of this orange, and we want to first put some of this orange in place, right? So that we have plenty of it that is not mixed yet. Let it stand alone. But we don't want to go all the way to the edges. We need some room for yellow. So be sure you leave some space out there. And then we're going to blend it. So once we've got enough of that beautiful light orange, I'm rinsing my brush out and I'm drying my bristles. And I'm just going to come out here and pull it down and then flipping my brush and pulling it down. And I'm going to dust off my bristles. All right, and that time I'm having to rinse off too, so you might have to rinse as you go. So I had to rinse twice, so I did one line down with one side of the brush, flipped the brush, did another line, and then I had to rinse my brush out, and then I do it 2 more times, rinse my brush out, and then 2 more times. So it takes, it's about 6 brush strokes wide for my butterfly. 1, 2. 3, 4. All right. And now we're going to add some yellow to the picture. So we're going to go to the ends of our light orange and we're going to gob on some yellow. We're going to take that yellow all the way to the edge of our black. Wow, it got really bright. All right, and just like before, I'm going to be rinsing and drying my bristles and pulling that yellow down across the light orange. All right, and when you guys are ready, we're gonna go back over the outlines with our black. Bring it all the way up against our colors. With our small brush, of course. Oh dear, I think I messed up a little bit. Okay. So small brush. Oh, we got to get in here and fill in all the gaps that we might have, making these black outlines thicker. All right, now we're just about done. We have a little bit more to do. We have just a little bit more. We've got to create some sections inside of these big wings. And these are going to look a little different. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to come over here to the side of this wing, and we're going to bring one of these curved lines off the side, and we're going to bring it down to the middle. So I'm going to come up here and curve this line down all the way back to the body. I'm going to do that on both sides. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to eyeball where this line would be, coming over here about the same spot. I'm going to curve into my wing and down to the middle of the body. And from here, I'm gonna make some bumpy lines that go in this direction. So I'm gonna start along this bottom edge, and I'm gonna come off of this bottom edge with a curved line that comes all the way back to the body like that. And then I'm going to come off of this line, and I'm going to do another one that goes straight back. So it's not, the second one doesn't go all the way back to the body. It bumps into this big line that we made. And this next curved line, same thing. It's going to stay like a horizontal line and bump into that line that we made. So I'm going to fit 3 of those shapes in there. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. I'm going to start along this bottom edge here, and I'm going to curve around, and this one comes all the way back to the body. The next 2, they don't come back to the body. They're going to bump into the first line that we made. All right, now you want to rinse out your brush. We've got a little bit more to add, some more details. We're going to rinse out our brushes. We're going to be using the small brush for the finishing details. We need to add some little colorful dots out here in the outer edges. Now your top wings, these black lines are going to be wet. So you're probably going to have to rinse and dry your brush more often, but I'm going to start at the bottom And you can use whatever colors you want. I'm going to use some yellow out here. And I'm just going to paint some little dots here wherever they fit, wherever I think that they'll look good. Different sizes is okay. Now my black is real wet right here, so I had to rinse my brush out and reapply some yellow there. Now, as I move up into the top wing, I'm going to switch over to some of this medium orange, the lighter orange. I'm going to sprinkle a couple little dots of the medium orange down here too. And that's all there is to it. Now we're done. I'm going to stop my share so you guys can show me how your butterflies turned out. Way to go, Nathan. That looks really good. Great job.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Your shapes look amazing. I'm super impressed, bud. That looks great.
If you see lines on this one, this was the first line I wanted to make it bigger, so I put another line.
Very good. Now you can always paint over that again after it dries, to really get rid of that line. That looks wonderful. Very nice. All right, let me see. Ooh la la. Yes, ma'am. Those look so good, you guys. Good job. Yeah, you're welcome. All right, so what are we going to do next week? Do y'all want to do the snow goose or the caribou?
What's a caribou?
It's kind of like a moose deer kind of thing.
We should do the caribou.
Okay, fair enough. We'll save the snow goose for last. We'll do our caribou next week. Sounds like a plan. All right. Well, you guys, thanks so much for joining me tonight. You were so quiet tonight, but I'm so glad you were here. And I really enjoyed painting this butterfly with y'all. I'll see you next week, okay?
Bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye.